Welcome to the mother relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Word around the campfire seems to be that Michaela Mayer will be returning to action very soon in the United Kingdom and not the United States to take on Italy's own Silvia Bortot.
What the fuck is that?
Some feel that Michaela fighting in the United Kingdom is Top Rank's effort to pawn her off on someone else.
I've seen that sentiment expressed. I don't necessarily agree with it. The Top Rank is now giving her the cold shoulder because she's not champion anymore.
Not saying that's the craziest thing I ever heard, because it isn't, but I get the sense that Michaela may be fighting in the United Kingdom because she's going to have another fight there, a bigger one, sometime in the near future.
I think.
Silvia may seem like a low-level opponent compared to the fighters that Michaela has fought already, perhaps even a step backwards from Lucy Wildheart, a late replacement who Michaela fought in her last fight.
Might seem like a low-level opponent.
Just giving rise to questions. An Instagram user that goes by the name Boxing Pound for Pound Jack asked, "Why are you fighting a low-level opponent, Michaela? Is this for any world title? You should be able to fight for a world title in your next fight, at least." To which Michaela responded, "This was the option I was given on my way back to the world title. Bigger negotiations are in the works, don't worry. I'm just staying busy till then."
A few days ago, Michaela Mayer specified via her Twitter account that she would be making a pit stop at 140 on her way to 147.
Now, who could she be looking to fight at 147, you ask? Who up there has a title that Michaela Mayer might share the ring with? Natasha Jonas.
Think about it.
The other two champions at the weight, Sandy Ryan and Jessica McCaskill, are supposed to be fighting each other next month, and they're on the Matchroom side of things. I don't think that Michaela is about to cross over to Matchroom inside of two fights, leaving only Natasha Jonas, who we all know fights under the Boxer banner, and the network relationship exists between Top Rank and Boxer, between Top Rank and Sky Sports, where a fight between them could be in the works.
This fight with Silvia is just a prelude.
Silvia, who sports a professional record of 11 wins with 2 losses and 1 draw, 3 knockouts, having been knocked out at least once in 14 professional bouts.
14.
Having last seen action in May of this year opposite the ring Flora Pilley for what was the EBU title at 140 pounds, Silvia lost a split decision.
Fight Michaela next.
Most recognizable names on Silvia's resume so far are unbeaten up-and-comer Ocean Duriu of Belgium and journeywoman Jamila Gontaruk. Outside of that, her quality of competition is mostly pedestrian.
It's just a tick-over fight. It's a keep-busy fight for Michaela, but if it's happening in the United Kingdom, I'd wager it's because she's set to have a bigger fight there beyond this one.
Though some are interpreting this as Top Rank pawning her off on Sky Sports, pawning her off on the people over there at Boxer, because at Top Rank here in America, they don't have that much for her to do. That is one way to look at it, and I understand that, but I happen to think this is more of an arm of promotion, having her fight in the United Kingdom ahead of a bigger fight, a potential Jonas fight, to further acquaint that audience across the Atlantic Ocean with Michaela Mayer.
It's been eerily silent since Alicia Baumgartner's anti-doping fiasco kicked off. I've yet to see Michaela Mayer even react to what's going on.
Though many are waiting for the first word. Michaela Mayer's first reaction to news of Alicia Baumgartner testing positive for a banned substance. I've yet to see her make any mention of it, even speak on it.
Is this a bit of grace from Michaela Mayer? Is this Michaela not wanting to kick Alicia when she's down, or is she building up for something special?
It's not uncommon to see Michaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgartner still going at it, even though they already fought. There's no love lost between the two, and that Michaela Mayer hasn't taken this as an opportunity to take a shot at her old buddy It's interesting.
Maybe Michaela hasn't commented because she doesn't care. The damage is already done to Alicia's reputation, and she's focused on winning a belt. She's focused on becoming a champion again.
What else needs to be said? So many already are using this as an opportunity to take a shot at Alicia without Michaela Mayer adding fuel to the fire. She's focused on other things, at least outwardly. It seems that way.
I think she's focused on a Jonas fight. That's who I think she's going to be fighting.
So I don't doubt that Michaela, behind closed doors, is chuckling to herself at Alicia Baumgartner's misfortune.
She is.
I think she's focused on moving up in weight, acclimating to these weights en route to a Natasha Jonas fight for what would be the IBF welterweight title.
For now, she's supposed to be fighting Sylvia, and we'll talk more about that fight once it's officially announced.
Man, super middleweight news ahead of the biggest fight of his career. Charlo says, I'm pretty sure after I beat Canelo, I'm going to have a rematch. So I'll be at 168 for a bit. I myself have stated that if Charlo pulls off this miracle and he beats Canelo Alvarez, in all likelihood, he'll have to fight him again at least one more time.
Putting any talks about moving back down for Terence Crawford on the back burner.
I want to be in a lane of my own, so I'll go wherever I've got to be placed, Charlo told a group of reporters at the Palladium Times Square when he was asked if he'll remain in the super middleweight division. But you know, making history at this weight would be a fascinating thing. I'm pretty sure after I beat him, I'm going to have a rematch, so I'll be here for a little bit. But then I'll, go back to shoot towards, the haters that's talking to me a little bit down the list, see if they're going to move up and come fight me wherever I'm at. It could be at 160. It could be at 154. I want to knock whoever out that was running their mouth. That's it. Simple.
Entertaining scenarios where he wins, but what if he loses? What then?
And if he loses, it also matters how he loses. What if he takes a beating? What if he gets stopped? How long will it take him to recuperate, to recover? And at what weight will he return after what duration of time? There is a lot to consider.
There's a lot to think about when it comes to what happens after this fight.
Though ahead of it, Canelo Alvarez, he's surprised by how respectful Charlo is, but says you don't need to make drama to sell pay-per-views.
Staged hostility and contrived manufactured drama is no substitute for two consummate professionals at the top of their game coming together to do a fight. I mean, I remember how Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua were ahead of their fight.
One of the biggest fights in the history of the United Kingdom that didn't feature any manufactured beef or drama between the two. The two guys respected each other, but they were going to try to take each other's heads off, and that was enough to sell it.
You could say the same thing about Errol and Terence. They weren't particularly malicious or mean-spirited towards each other. The fight in and of itself was enough.
I love it. Alvarez told Showtime's broadcasting team of Brian Campbell, Raul Marquez, and Stephen Jackson following their press conference at the Palladium at Times Square, like I say, I love to respect your opponent because, in the ring it's different. But I like these kinds of things because it's when you see both fighters, you are 100% focused on the fight, because we can talk shit and we can fight here, but in the fight, it's going to be a boring fight, right? So I like this kind of press conference because you don't need to make the drama. You don't need to fight here. Everybody maybe does that because they want to sell more pay-per-views. I don't need it.
I've seen a good number of manufactured beefs over the years, like the beef between Ricardo Mayorga and Shane Mosley in their rematch. Ricardo pretending to grope Shane's wife so they could have something to bicker about at the press conference.
Was staged. Now, it's not saying that a genuine rivalry between two fighters that really don't like each other, that's not saying that's not important. That's not saying that don't help sell pay-per-views, because it actually does. But the hostility should not be manufactured. It has to be genuine. It has to be organic. And there's no sense in pretending.
People can tell.
Because the malice jumps out at you when the malintent is genuine. That's not always the case with every fight or every fighter. With Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko, you could tell those two guys really respected each other, and they were going to put their best foot forward to win the fight. The same applies to Errol and Terence, and the same seems to apply to Jermell and Canelo.
Not all of these guys hate each other.
Sometimes it's just two consummate professionals at the peak of their power coming in to do a job.
Charlo, a Houston native, explained the more conservative tact he has taken to promoting his higher profile fight to Campbell, Marquez, and Jackson. I don't got no disrespect for the man, Charlo said in reference to Alvarez. The man is a legend, man. Did his thing. You know what I mean? You gotta give him props when it's due. So, I mean, it's just a challenge, you know? And it's a great challenge. It is noticeable that Jermell has been a lot more reserved, perhaps even in better spirits for this fight than he has been in previous fights. Perhaps it's because he has nothing to complain about.
The Canelo-Alvarez fight is the most sought-after fight anywhere in between 154 and 175. It's a fight that a lot of fighters would hope to land, but Jermell has landed it, and he has that to be thankful for. And win or lose opposite the ring Canelo, he stands to make the most money he will have ever made in professional boxing, fighting boxing's cash cow at this time. So in that way, he's got nothing to be upset about, but much to prepare for.
He does.
Win or lose, however, he stands to make the most money he will have ever made. A genuine chance to make genuine history in the sport of boxing, and if nothing else, the comfort of knowing that even if you fail,
still make more money than you would have made fighting anybody else.
It's not saying that there isn't a place in the sport of boxing for malice and rivalries. I mean, of course there is. It really does help to sell a fight, but you shouldn't force it. You shouldn't manufacture it, the hostility, if it's not actually there.
It just comes off as contrived if you do.
So as far as what happens beyond this fight, if Canelo Alvarez wins, the way I think he's going to win, then we may not see Jermell Charlo for a while, having made the kind of money that he stands to make in what I anticipate will be a successful pay-per-view.
Don't forget that Canelo Alvarez sold over 400,000 pay-per-views with John Ryder in what was little more than a keep busy fight / mandated title defense. Opposite the ring, Caleb Plant, he sold 800,000 pay-per-views.
And he could end up selling the same or more with Jermell Charlo. That's right. This fight has the potential to do in excess of 800,000 pay-per-view buys. And if it does, both Canelo and Jermell will have made a lot of money. Particular to this conversation, if Jermell scores this career-high pace, do you think he's going to be in a hurry to come back? Especially if he loses.
He gets knocked out.
But he makes all this fucking money. You don't think he's going to take some time off to spend it? Look at the amount of time off that he had after the Brian Castano fight. If he goes in there, he gets knocked out by Canelo, but he makes all this money, I don't expect that Jermell is going to be in any hurry to come back, let alone boil all the way down to 154.
No way.
It's a common sense argument because on the schedule that he's been on, he hasn't been all that active. So why would he be even more active after making more money than he's ever made?
Stands to reason.
Biggest hindrance, or at least one of the biggest hindrances Jermell Charlo faces in going into this fight, is that he hasn't fought in over a year's time.
So you think after he makes more money than he's ever made, he's going to be in any hurry to come back?
Irrespective of what he is saying now, before the fight, ahead of it, a lot of people say a lot of things ahead of a fight, and they change their minds afterwards. Finally, Terrence Crawford had this to say about Gervonta Davis, responding to a comment calling Gervonta a champion. What champion? Who's undisputed at 135? Devin Haney's got all the belts. He's the champ. Nobody else is the champ. Tank's the bigger draw. There's weight classes for a reason. Tell him to come up here with the big boys, and I'll welcome him.
That's what I've been saying.
Just because Gervonta might be more popular than Devin, perhaps earns more money than Devin, doesn't make him as accomplished as Devin, doesn't make him a champion like Devin. Gervonta's been campaigning as a lightweight since 2019, and all he's done there is pick up a secondary title.
That's it.
You can hear Gervonta Davis's apologists now saying that who cares about the belts? Who cares about the titles? They're meaningless anyway. So long as he's making more money than Devin, that's what it's all about.
Well, all right, just stop expecting people to call him a champion, because he's not.
Stop expecting people to categorize him as a pound-for-pound fighter, the same as Terrence, the same as Usyk and Inoue and Canelo, because he isn't.
Nope.
Wasn't it just the other day, not but a week or so ago, that Floyd Mayweather was complaining that more popular periodicals did not feature Gervonta on their pound-for-pound lists? Perhaps that's why. Just because you're popular.
Popularity does not speak to ability.
Ryan Garcia is a prime example. He's more popular than both Devin and Shakur, but he's not as accomplished a boxer and nowhere near as skilled as they are, even though he's more popular.
Got it?
Terrence Crawford continued, Hats off to Tank. He's a great, talented fighter, but he hasn't faced the top elite fighters in his division. We want to see Tank against somebody his size at the elite level. I believe he'll do good, but we haven't seen that yet.
And Ryan Garcia will not suffice because nobody believes that Ryan Garcia is on the same level as a Shakur Stevenson, as a Devin Haney.
If all you're after is the bag, if you don't care much about belts and you don't care much about legacy, you don't
care about becoming undisputed or any of that stuff. If all you care about is the bag, you made a nice sized bag with Ryan Garcia. Congratulations.
But now what are you going to do? The biggest disconnect between Gervonta Davis's fans and Gervonta Davis's critics is that Gervonta Davis's fans act like Gervonta's critics are expecting him to do something that can't be done. Like they're asking him to do something they're not asking everybody else to do.
Fight the best.
Nobody thought of Ryan Garcia as being either the best lightweight or super lightweight. In spite of his popularity, being popular doesn't make him any of those things.
No.
Nobody's asking Gervonta Davis to do something they're not asking everybody else to do, to fight the best fighters at or around their weight. Gervonta Davis being the biggest draw, at least in some circles that's what they say, he's the biggest draw anywhere at or around these weights. That gives him the power to make the fights that need to be made, so long as he wants to.
But he doesn't.
Been campaigning as a lightweight since 2019, in possession of a secondary title that is little more than just a segue to fight for the full title. The full title that passed from Vasyl Lomachenko to Teofimo Lopez to George Kambosos over to Devin Haney.
Gervonta hasn't fought any of them.
And it doesn't look like he's about to. According to his longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, they may be on the eve of fighting Isaac Cruz again. Isaac Cruz in a rematch. Who is asking to see that?
And Floyd wonders why nobody ranks him on their pound for pound.
Philosophy for Gervonta seems to be, why take a risk if you don't have to? If you can do a decent gate and get a decent purse, fighting these guys,
being the A-side to nobodies,
why take a chance? Why take a risk? A fight with Shakur Stevenson may not have the same profile as a Ryan Garcia fight, but it is a riskier fight, and the same applies to Devin.
You've got time to fight scrubs and nobodies like Rolly Romero, Isaac Cruz, and Mario Barrios. You went as far as going to 140, and all you did up there was Mario Barrios. Teofimo Lopez has more of a profile than that guy.
They tell me that a fight with Teofimo and Gervonta wouldn't be bigger than the fight that he already had with Mario Barrios, a guy most people never even heard of.
I'm lying?
Disconnect between Gervonta Davis's critics and Gervonta Davis's fans is that his fans think he shouldn't have to fight any of these people.
Then what the hell are you so excited about?
That he consistently goes for the low-hanging fruit no matter where he campaigns.
That's all he does.
Not a champion. He's only actually ever been a champion at one weight, and that's super featherweight. At lightweight and super lightweight, he never held a full title, and he never fought anybody of substance.
He fought Ryan.
He's popular, but popularity does not speak to accolades. Popularity does not speak to ability, the actual ability of the fighter.
No.
The only reason this is a debate, in some circles, is because Gervonta Davis's fans, his supporters, want him to be thought of as being of the same ilk as Terence Crawford and Alexander Usyk, Naoya Inoue, and Canelo Alvarez, these multi-weight, unified, and undisputed champions.
Gervonta is none of those things.
So why should he be thought of as such? I think Terence Crawford was being diplomatic when he said that he feels Gervonta would do well. I think the opposite. I think the reason they've been protecting him for this long is because they know that he wouldn't.
Couldn't do well.
Couldn't stay undefeated if they didn't wrap him behind 60 feet of bubble wrap protected from everybody else. That's the only way he stays undefeated.
Which is fine.
If you don't want to fight your contemporaries, you don't have to. Just don't expect the rest of us to view you in the same light as we view other fighters.
You don't want to prove it.
You don't think you should have to, and I'm not going to celebrate you for it.
Fuck off.